when people are going on the scouting mission, what is their question? What are they looking for? Right? With what kind of lens are they going to look at the land? What interests them? What will they see? Because what we see comes from what we are questing. And what will they miss? Also dependent on their quest. We're looking at another drama, another intense breakdown and conflict between Moses and Aaron and the people as they're finding the way from Egypt to the promised land, and how this is teaching us about the spiritual journey. Not only the physical, the geographical journey of our ancestors, but the spiritual journey, theirs and ours today. And let me jump right in. So I have the Parsha here in front of me. I'll read it right from the source, and then we'll go to the Slonimer. Vaydaber Adonai el Moshe le'emor, and God spoke to Moses, saying, Shelach lecha anashim vayaturu et eretz Knaan, asher ani noten livnei Israel. Send to you, shlach lecha. Shlach lecha is actually an important phrase here. Remember it, because the Slonimer is going to ask a question about it. The question is going to be, shlach lecha. What's the lecha? Like lech lecha, send to you. Why not just send? Right? And the Torah is never arbitrary. We assume that the syntax or language is hinting to something deeper. So send to you people, and they will scout out the land of Canaan, the land that I am giving to the people of Israel. Ish echad lemate avotav. There will be one spy, one of these people. There's basically these are the spies. So one spy from each tribe. Lemate avotav tishlachu kol nasi bahem. And these spies are not going to be just lay people from from the ranks, but they're going to be leaders, nesi'im. They're going to be dignitaries from among the people. So each tribe is going to send one dignitary to join this scouting team. וישלח אותם משה ממדבר פרן על פי אדוני, and Moses sends them from the desert of Paran, following God's instruction. כולם אנשים ראשי בני ישראל המה. All these people, again, the Torah is repeating, are leaders of the people of Israel. And now the Torah is going to go through their names, etc. And then it's going to describe the details of that adventure, where they went, what they saw, what they did. We famously know that they brought back a huge cluster of grapes from the Nachal Eshkol, the river of Eshkol, and carried it on a stick and brought other fruits as well to do show and tell. And here we go. Let's jump right into the Slonimer. ובמיוחד צריך ביאור מה דכתוב בספר דברים, ותקרבון אליי כולכם ותאמרו נשלחה אנשים לפנינו ויחפרו לנו את הארץ וגומר. And he's saying, this is mentioned again in the book of Deuteronomy, when Moses is recalling the history of the events in of the traveling through the desert of Sinai. And he brings a quote from there, and it says, "Vatikrevun elai kulchem," and you all came to me, "Vatumuni shlecha anashim lefaneinu," and said, "Let us send scouts ahead of us, v'yechperu lanu et haaretz, and they will explore the land," etc. Vayitav beinai hadavar, and this was it found favor. I thought favorably about it. Harei shegam be'einei Moshe matzah chen matzah davar chen, and this was favorable to Moses, says the Slonimer. So, what is this about? What about the idea of sending spies was so endearing to Moses? And let's understand. Did the people really need to send spies to the land of Israel? Why? God had been taking them out of Egypt. They did not send scouts ahead of them into the desert. They did not send scouts ahead of them to the Red Sea. They just went. And they witnessed unnatural events, the splitting of the sea, the manna from the heaven, water out of the rock. All these things are happening. And now all of a sudden they are needing spies to go into the land of Israel. Why would they not just continue to trust Moses and Aaron and God and expect miracles to happen? And why the change? It's a critical question. And then why is Moses so happy about this? Right? You would think that logically Moses would be, he could have said to them, who needs spies? Trust me, right? And then another question is, which we already just asked, Ba'inyan, keba'amar Chazal, shlach lecha anashim lecha leda'atcha. So when Chazal, when the sages read shlach lecha anashim, send to you people, they asked the question, what does this send to you? Why not shlach anashim? Just send people. And their commentary was, lecha leda'atcha. In other words, God is saying to Moses, send people to represent or to carry out your mission, or your idea about this mission is about. So you can already see where we're going, that there were different ideas about what this spy mission, the scouting mission, is about. Shlach lecha, lecha leda'atcha, to you as of, in accordance with your opinion, with your strategy, with your understanding, or with your questions about the land. So you can already tell that what's critical here is when people are going on the scouting mission, what is their question? What are they looking for? Right? With what kind of lens are they going to look at the land? What interests them? What will they see? Because what we see comes from what we are questing. And what will they miss? Also dependent on their quest. Lecha leda'atcha, may they go according to your set of questions, or your set of ideas about what needs to be accomplished with the scouting mission. והיינו שלמשה הייתה דעה מיוחדת בשליחותם שונה מדעת המרגלים. So Moses had a different idea of what this scouting mission is, different than what the 12 spies, 10 out of the 12 spies. וזהו מה דכתוב, ויטב הדבר בעיני משה. And that's why it says later in Deuteronomy, and the mission found favor in Moses' eyes. He liked the mission, but on his terms, not on the spies' terms. We will find out later, or at least he was 10 of the spies were divergent, had a different idea about what this is about. היינו שעצם הדבר לשלוח מרגלים מוטב בעיניו, אבל רק הדבר עצמו, ולא הכוונה שהייתה למרגלים. In other words, Moses liked the idea of sending spies, but he did not like the intentionality that 10 of the spies had about it, because it was different than his intention. ודעת משה בשליחת המרגלים לא הייתה על מצבה הגשמי של ארץ ישראל. When Moses wanted spies to go there, he was not interested in the physical properties of the land of Israel, אלא על מצבה רוחני, but rather the spiritual condition of the land. כי זה לעומת זה עשה אלוהים. Because God created both, one opposite the other. שהיות וקדושת ארץ ישראל הייתה גבוהה ביותר, because the sanctity, the sacredness of the land of the land of Israel was on a very high level. הרי לעומת זה כוחות הסטרא אחרא הגדולים ביותר היו מרוכזים אז בארץ ישראל. So too were the oppositional forces, sitra acha, the other side, or you could say the negative forces. I'm going to say here the opposing forces. So you have great holiness, you have great potential for divinity, for spirituality, for an elevated state for the people who are entering the land. This land was a container for a special spiritual connection, but opposing that, opposite that, were really strong oppositional forces. In other words, obstacles, or forces who are there to test, to forces that are there to be overcome before the people can actually link with the spiritual potential that the land has. כמו דכתוב, עמלק יושב בארץ הנגב, והחיתי, והיבוסי, והאמורי, יושב בהר, והכנעני, יושב על הים ועל הירדן. So there are 5 peoples that the Torah mentions that were sitting there. And according to the rabbis, to the mystics, those 5 peoples, the Amalekites, the Hittites, the Jebusites, the Amorites, and the Canaanites, represented those opposite forces or opposing forces. כל אלו הם כוחות הקליפה הגדולים ביותר שהקיפו את ארץ ישראל. And these 5 were the strongest, the most powerful forces of what Kabbalah calls the shells, the klipot. Right, so you can think of the spark of divinity is in the center. If you think of a fruit as a metaphor, and the shells around it are the opposing forces. Right, they're an obstacle between the person who is seeking the holy spark or that pit, that diamond in the center, and the rough around it are the shells. והיו צריכים לרגל כדי לדעת מה כוח הקליפה שם כעניין דעת שונאיך בבחינה רוחנית. And they needed to go to the land of Israel to assess the strength and the quality and the condition of the opposing forces in order to know what is it they will have to deal with And all of this in order so they could strategize about how to handle those opposing forces. Often, when we're younger, I can certainly speak for myself. When I was younger, I was very gung ho and idealistic, and I saw goals, spiritual or otherwise, that I wanted to accomplish, or places I wanted to go to. But at that time, I did not consider that there will be obstacles. There will be tests on the way, and I would have to show um, my worth and show my conviction and show my seriousness in order to be able to actually attain whatever that is. So on a spiritual, on a physical level, those could be career goals, or any material goals, or even relational goals. I want to there's somebody I want to be with, or there's a relationship I want to build. And the way I imagine it, the way my fantasy holds it, as I'm directing my attention, is usually does not include the obstacles that I will need to deal with. And the spiritual principle here that the Slonim is pointing out, is that the smart thing to do, the wise thing to do, is to prepare not only for the journey towards an ideal state, an elevated state, towards something that's promised us, right? Our spirituality is our birthright. We don't have to earn it. We really have to, shed off the blinders to it. But what we really need to prepare for is dealing with the curves and the turns and the pitfalls that will test us on the way. And that's what Moses wanted the spies to do, to assess the spiritual conditions that the land was to present. And all this was part of the spiritual preparation that preceded the entry into the promised land. To know how to overcome the obstacles, opposing forces. ועל כן היו צריכים לשליחות זו דווקא את ראשי בני ישראל שהם יכולים להעריך מצבה הרוחני של הארץ. And that is why the people chosen for this team were the leaders. The people who would have the skill and the capacity, the soul capacity, the spiritual capacity and sensitivity to assess the spiritual condition of the land of Israel. But the spies and the people did not take it that way. They thought that the expedition was solely to assess the physical conditions. לבדוק את מצבה הגשמי של ארץ ישראל. To ask the question, what kind of land physically are we going into? Is it abundant? Is it poor? Etc. שסברו בטעותם שההנהגה על-טבעית היא רק בצאתם ממצרים ובהיותם במדבר. Their mistake was they thought that the miracles and the spiritual ride that they had been, the spiritual wave they had been on, was only for the desert and for leaving Egypt. They did not trust that spiritual wave, that deep journey that they were on, was going to continue into the promised land. אבל כאשר ייכנסו לארץ ישראל ישוב להיות אומה טבעית ככל הגויים בית ישראל. They were beginning to hold the framework that once they go into the land, enough with all this spirituality, we're now going to become a people like all peoples, which incidentally is very reminiscent of the Zionist thinkers of the 20th century, when Jews were returning in the early 20th century, and especially after the Holocaust, to Israel. The thinking was, we want to be a people like all people. We're going to be a nation like all nation. We're going to be a democratic, productive, land working, industry working. Their ideal was, of the Zionists, of the secular Zionists, was to just be, let us just be level with the rest of the people of the world. We don't have a spiritual mission, they thought. We really just have if anything, as far as the secular Zionists could go, is we have an ethical mission. We're going to be the exemplar democratic, country of the world, and which is, obviously is incredibly valuable in and of itself. But the parallel is interesting. Even back then, all of a sudden, as they're about to enter the land, they retreat from the spiritual motivation that was driving them, and that was sort of the context for their experiences in the desert. And we're starting to think very practical. A shame. Why? Right? אומה שהנהגתה טבעית ככל שאר האומות, ועל כן רצו לשלוח המרגלים לדעת איך בישו את הארץ באופן טבעי. So because of this retreat into practicality and physicality and the ignoring of the spiritual dimension of their task, that was their orientation, and those were the questions that they were asking. And that is why, וזהו מה שאמר הקדוש ברוך הוא למשה, שלח לך לדעתך. That's why the Holy One said to Moses, send to you, take people that have your vision. היינו שלחם על דעתך שמטרתך לדעת את מצבה הרוחני של ארץ ישראל, ואיך להתגבר על כוחות הסטרא אחרא השוכנים שם. In other words, God is alerting Moses, is warning him, is saying, make sure that the people are going into the land are aligned with your spiritual vision. And make sure that they're there to ask the questions that you're asking, which is, how do we overcome the spiritual challenges that are awaiting us there? אך לא לדעתם של המרגלים החפצים להגיע לארץ ישראל באופן טבעי כדי לדעת מצבה גשמי, and they should not align with their own personal vision, which was a materialistic one. So this is a beautiful analysis of the breakdown. It's hard to see, as I'm reading this, and I haven't given this yet enough thought, would love to hear what you think, is, well, whose fault is it? Is it Moses' fault, who was not clear enough in communicating his vision? Was it Moses' shortcoming, who was not selective enough in who he's choosing? Was it Moses' mistake to choose leaders, assuming that leaders have a greater capacity than other people in each tribe that may have had a greater sensitivity and may have been in greater alignment with him? Was it the spies' fault for hearing Moses' vision but not listening to it, not rising to the occasion, not being disciplined about moving themselves out of the way, being servants to the people's mission, to the greater people's mission, to Moses as a leader, but instead inserting their own biases or their own weaknesses. Who knows, right? But something broke down there. And how many times do you and I make that error of giving in, compromising, giving into a reduced, a diminished version of what really impassions us, of the vision as we had originally received it. And this is, now I want to bring this into our own lives. How many times have I had a vision for my career, for the well-being of people around me, for my relationship, for my people, for the Jewish people, for our country? Here, if you're with me here in America, I had a vision for this country, for my politics. And I became cynical. I allowed that to get reduced to the least of what seems practical to accomplish. Or how many times have I set out to explore something, to explore, to research, to learn about a project that it's in front of me, let's say a career. And I got so urgent about, actually getting there that I didn't do my research thoroughly. I just did the surface. Or I got distracted. I started researching and then everything looked good. Wow, everything is good. But I didn't ask the questions about, well, what are the opposing forces? What are the obstacles? And I just went for it anyway. This story seems like my story and your story. It seems like a call, and this is what I love about the Slonimer, because he's so principled as a commentator and as a Torah scholar. He's so principled about what is the Torah teaching us that empowers our ideal as a person, as a Jew, as a good citizen of the society I live in, whether you're in America or anywhere else in the world. A beautiful, deep story. May we all be blessed that our explorations, that our our scouting out of what's in front of us is so thorough, and the questions that we set for ourselves are so well crafted, so in alignment with our ideals, that we get the right answers. And when the opposing forces, when the challenges come our way, we can shake a hand, reach out a hand, and grab them and move them, just like with Aikido. If you're familiar with the martial art of Aikido, you grab the opposing force and you just lead it out of your way using the force of the opposition. That is the kind of preparation that Moses was expecting. And unfortunately, the spies were not able to deliver, but they taught us a lesson. And today we're meditating on that lesson. I'm Rabbi Reuben Modik with Makom Halev Community and Hebrew Learning Circles, our creative, home-hosted educational program where we try to do just that. We try to teach children and adults how to move forward in their lives, your Jewish life, your personal life, all of your life. There really is no separation, in ways that give you power, that give you joy, that give you pride, um, and give you the tools to be a smart warrior, a smart spy, and a smart traveler on the spiritual path. Please, please like if you got value from this discussion of the 12 spies. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Leave comments below. I'd love to hear your take on this. What did you like? What would you like to add? That and what else? There's plenty more insight to be had from this story of the spies, the 12 spies and the 10 that come back, not having really gotten what their true mission was about. So again, subscribe, leave your comments below. I'd love to interact with you. I will respond. Thank you for spending this Torah time, this learning time together in our cyber yeshiva. Shalom for now.